Hello, all of you. In the chapter Financial Management, today we are going to learn next topic, that is fixed capital. And in this, we will learn the meaning of fixed capital and what are the factors which affects the fixed capital requirement of a company. So let's start with the meaning of fixed capital. So, what is fixed capital? Fixed capital means a portion of capital investment in long term assets or big fixed assets of a company, or in a simple term, it is that part or portion of the capital which is invested in a fixed assets of a firm. Okay, so this is a capital which is used for purchasing fixed asset, and whatever will be the total amount of fixed assets, that will be also equal to the fixed capital, because it simply means amount of capital which is invested or which is used for purchasing fixed assets. So example of fixed capital is also the example of fixed assets. So examples are land and building, plant and machinery, furnitures and fixtures, vehicles, etc. And one thing you have to keep in mind, that fixed capital must be financed through long-term sources of funds such as equity shares, preference shares, debentures, long-term loans, retained earning, because we need huge investment in these assets. So that's why they are supposed to be financed through long-term sources, because fund remain blocked in these assets for a very long period of time. So if the sources are long term, then it will be comfortable for the business to repay the amount. Then next part, we will see factors affecting fixed capital requirement. In this, we have to decide that on what basis a company will require, or under what condition a company will require more fixed capital, or when it will required, or when the requirement of fixed capital will be less. So we have to decide. So first is the nature of business. So nature of business has a great impact on the fixed capital requirement. So by nature, two type of organization exist. One is manufacturing organization and second is a trading. So manufacturing means which converts raw material into finished goods, and trading means they don't convert, they don't manufacture, they don't produce, they simply purchase finished goods and then they sold it to the ultimate consumer. So that's why a manufacturing concern needs heavy investment in fixed assets, whereas in case of trading concern, the requirement of the fixed capital will be less, because they don't require to purchase plant and machinery, etc. So in short, for manufacturing organization, requirement of fixed capital will be more, and for a trading concern, requirement of the fixed capital will be less. Then scale of operations. So two type of scales of operations are there: large scale operation and lower scale operation. So if a company is operating at a larger scale, the requirement of the fixed capital will be more as compared to the company which are operating at a lower or smaller scale. So simply in case of large scale operation, requirement of the fixed capital will be more. In case of small scale operation, the requirement of the fixed assets will be, or fixed capital will be less. So for example, the Tata Iron and Steel Company requires huge investment in fixed assets as compared to mini steel plant or sponge iron plant. Then third is the choice of technique. So there are two type of techniques: capital intensive and labor intensive. So capital intensive simply means use of more machines. Most of the work will be done by machines. And labor intensive, most of the work will be done by labor, less use of machines. So that's why in case of the capital intensive techniques, wherever the capital intensive techniques are used, requirement of the fixed capital or need of the fixed capital will be more due to larger investment in plant and machinery. Whereas in case of labor intensive enterprises, requirement of fixed capital will be less due to lesser investment in plant and machinery. Then technology upgradation oblique modernization. So companies in which assets become obsolete sooner, means few companies are there who are supposed to upgrade or modernize their assets very soon, for like companies like automobiles, electronics, because lot of development and lot of research are there, and depending upon the demand of the market, they have to make instant changes in their product. So that's why companies in which assets become more obsolete or assets become obsolete sooner, their requirement of fixed capital will be more, because very frequently they have to replace their obsolete one with the advanced one. However, companies which use assets which are less affected by technological upgradation, like maybe furniture biz or like company like NTPC, every once it is installed, they don't have to upgrade very frequently. So they require less fixed capital in that context. So where demand for technology upgradation is very sooner, in that case the requirement of fixed capital will be more. And where the companies which uses assets which are less affected by technological upgradation, in those type of concern the requirement of the fixed capital will be less. Then fifth is a growth prospectus. So a company with higher growth prospectus will need greater amount of fixed capital, as investment in plant and machinery is more in this type of companies due to increased production capacity. So growth prospectus means either they will increase the capacity or they will install one more plant, one more shops in that way. Okay, so company, if the group, if there is a growth prospectus is there, growth prospect is there, in that case a requirement of fixed capital will be more. In case companies having less or no growth prospects, requirement of the fixed capital will be less. Then six is diversification. So what is diversification? It means running business in more products than only one product. Means where the company they deals in diverse product, maybe clothes also, shops also, consumer goods also, medicines also, electronics also, automobiles also. That is known as diversification. Take the example of Tata. They're in the field of electronics, they're in the field of automobiles, they're in the field of heavy machinery, they're in the field of aviations also earlier. So that is known as diversification. See, if a company chooses to diversify its operation, then requirement of fixed capital will be more or vice versa. So wherever the company they goes for diversification, in that case the requirement of fixed capital will be more because of increased investment in plant and machinery in different diversified products. Then seventh is the financing alternatives. Ki what type of financing alternatives are available? So fixed assets can be purchased either on cash basis or can be acquired on lease or a hire basis. So sometimes we have to purchase in cash, but sometimes assets are available on lease or hire basis. Hire basis means payments are made in installments, and sometimes lease, whole plant is taken on lease. Especially you see in the case of the pharma, many of the companies they don't have their own plant, Take the example of the soft drink companies. It is getting manufactured in the local units. If you take the example of Bilaspur, even Sergiti, also Coca-Cola, Pepsi, they have produced. So how they have taken on lease? They have taken on lease these plants. So in case business organization which purchases on cash basis needs heavy amount of fixed capital. Example NTPC, because thermal power plant it is not available on lease most of the times. There you have to erect the whole project. You have to pay in cash most of the things. So the business organization which purchases on cash basis needs heavy amount of fixed capital. On the other hand, company using financing and leasing facilities require less fixed capital as assets can be purchased on installment basis instead of paying huge amount at one time. So it depends how financing alternatives are available. If you have to pay in cash, nobody is ready to finance you. In that case, requirement will be more. But in case of financing, leasing, that available means you can pay in installment, or you can hire the plant on lease. So in that case, requirement will be less. Then last is the level of collaborations. In case the collaborations are available, in case there is a joint venture or where the facilities can be shared, just like in the case of the banks, okay, they can share their ATMs. If any person having the ATM card of any bank, they can withdraw money from any other bank's ATMs also. Or where there is a collaboration or joint venture, for example, Maruti Suzuki, okay, Idea, Vodafone. So where is a joint venture also, the requirement of the fixed capital will be less, because two or more parties, they are jointly giving the funds. So individually the requirement of fixed capital for the company or the firm decreases. So in case there is a collaboration, there is a joint venture, the requirement of the fixed capital will be lower. However, where there is no collaboration, no joint venture, in that case where the collaboration is not there, in that case certainly the amount or the requirement of the fixed capital will be more.